Chelsea.
The medals have been awarded. The RHS judges have named the best gardens and exhibits. But there is one prize still to be claimed.
And it's a big one. The BBC RHS People's Choice Award. Get ready to vote for your favourite large show garden. Tonight it's your turn to be the judges. Hello and welcome to the Royal Horticultural Society's Chelsea Flower Show 2023, an event supported by the Newt in Somerset.
You're holding on quite tightly here, Joe. It's a bit strange standing up here, isn't it?
It's precipitous, isn't it? I don't mind looking across. I don't want to look down. It's weird, Sophie.
It is quite a good view, even if you look down. But behind us as well, look at that, the Royal Hospital Chelsea. We are, of course, in the back garden of the Chelsea pensioners. And what a day for it today. So warm, the crowds are out, everyone is really relaxed.
Well, some people are still waiting for the BBC RHS People's Choice Award. So, this is, for designers on Main Avenue, that is a really big deal because, it doesn't matter what medal they've got. It means that their garden has resonated with the visitors to the show, the viewers of the programme, enough to want to vote for them. It's a big deal.
You're right, all the medals have been handed out, but the focus is now on that, the People's Choice Award. And we are going to be looking at all the contenders for this year's award throughout the show. Also coming up tonight,
I'll be meeting up with Dame Mary Berry to celebrate one of the nation's favourite flowers. It's the rose, of course, and discover this season's new varieties.
Presenter AJ Odudu will be sharing how her passion for houseplants has grown so much they've taken over her front room.
And if you thought a greenhouse was just for growing veg, think again. JJ Chalmers discovers all the benefits of growing under glass, we're over glass here, however small your space.
But first, our experts have been exploring the garden designs on offer this year and no doubt have their favourites. Now it is your turn to choose yours from the 12 large show gardens in contention for the BBC RHS People's Choice Award 2023.
Voting will open at the end of this show and you'll have until 7 p.m. tomorrow evening to cast your vote. To help you decide, we'll be looking at all the contenders throughout the show, and here are the first four.
The Centre for Mental Health's The Balance Garden looks to the future of community urban spaces. All the hard landscaping is made from recycled, repurposed or reclaimed materials. At the back of the garden there's a mushroom farm made from an old shipping container, and at the centre there's a still pool. The planting in this garden is an urban food forest on lots of different layers. So there's trees, shrubs and lower planting, and most of it is edible, including an awful lot of wetland edibles all around the pool. Now in the lower levels there's a lot of edibles, perennial edibles, and the idea is to create what could be an urban community foraging space.
This is the Royal Entomological Society garden, designed by Tom Massey, and it highlights the importance of insects for gardens and people. And at the centre is this large structure which is based on an insect's eye, and it's also a working laboratory. The planting is climate resilient, and there's deadwood, bare sand and water in moving and still form for plenty of wildlife habitats.
This is called A Letter from a Million Years Past, and it represents a mountain in South Korea, the Mother Mountain, as it's known, in the Jirisan region. And that is where extremely rare, endangered medicinal plants still thrive. The planting is, of course, naturalistic, with rare alpines at the top of the mountain tumbling down into statement trees and rare Korean medicinal herbs. And this, the central point of the garden, a Korean traditional herb drying tower built using wattle and daub.
Myeloma UK, A Life Worth Living by Chris Beardshaw, is a design based on the journey that someone might take who's living with blood cancer. In plan, the design is made up by geometric shapes connected with winding paths. And as they wind through the garden, the planting gets quite close to the edges. And as you wind along, you come to a temple. Throughout the borders, the planting style is designed to be lush, from shuttlecock ferns, hostas and iris. At the end of the space is another temple, and the walls of the building are designed to amplify the sound of falling water.
Well, judging by that, it's going to be a tricky decision for you, and that's only the first 4. We'll be showing you the other contenders throughout the show. Now, Chelsea wouldn't be Chelsea without Dame Mary Berry, and I'm delighted to say she's here now. It's lovely to see you, Mary. We've got to stop meeting like this.
It's lovely, and amongst the roses, what could be better?
I know. So, are you enjoying the show? How's it going for you this year?
I'm loving the show. There's a wonderful selection, and there's such wonderful smells when you come past the roses.
Yeah, is there anything in the rest of the show you've seen? Are there any gardens that you've seen in particular that you like?
Well, I've just got a new hosta bed at home, and so I've loved all the hostas, and there are more here than
There's a lot of
previous
hostas
year.
this year, aren't there?
And I'm spraying them with my garlic spray, which is keeping off the little things that make holes in, called slugs.
Yeah, no, you got to keep the slugs and snails off your hostas. I mean, I think throughout the garden, some great gardens out there as well, aren't there? Some great designs. So they capture you. These
Lots of things to copy.
Oh, copy.
Yes, you know, you get your inspiration ideas from coming here.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good at cuttings, but I know I've got friends that I've just caught them with some pinks. And I know we're going straight back to take small cuttings and have more plants.
Lovely. And what do you think of this display here, these roses, hey?
I think it, just look at the foliage. I often judge a rose by its foliage. If it's got good foliage and a flower, it's a huge bonus. And a nice smell,
plant.
a really good smell.
And here's Francesca.
Hi.
Hello,
From Harkness Roses.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful exhibit. And you're here, aren't you, Dame Mary?
I'm
you're
a
here.
standard.
You're never a standard. You're never a standard. But if you've got any questions, rose questions for Francesca?
If I can help.
While she's here.
I've got, I want to climb over an arch, and it's not quite full sun. And I want good foliage, good smell, and I don't want to have lots of little ones. I'd rather have a decent head.
Okay, so one that pops to mind is called Sweet Siri. It's a beautiful climber. It can grow as high as you like, so you'll have to train it, for sure.
I'm good at, I cut things back.
That's good.
I'm a good pruner.
That's brilliant. So really big heads and really fragrant. Really beautiful shell pink, kind of peachy, really crowd pleaser, for
Sounds
sure.
lovely.
Yeah.
Is that where you go for that?
I will, it's just there.
Okay.
Yes, I think
And
I'll have
you
a
got
go.
any other roses that you're particularly showing off this year?
Yeah, so this year one of our new varieties is the Menopause Charity Rose, which is really fragrant. It's a bush rose, beautiful pink colour, quite an old-fashioned looking rose. So that's brand new for this year. That's a really exciting one.
And why do you think we all love roses so much? What is it about the rose?
I mean, they're so classic, aren't they? And so many of them mean so many things to so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people come to us and they smell Chandos Beauty, for instance, one of our most
Chandor,
fragrant.
don't get her going on Chandos Beauty whenever she is.
I never stop.
Never
I never
stop.
stop.
And it's a parent of Mary Berry, Chandos
It
Beauty.
is the
I know
parent.
that.
It's
It is.
bred it especially for me. And of course it has wonderful foliage. I'll get going.
Yeah.
Wonderful foliage, wonderful smell.
The fragrance. I think I can smell it from it's gorgeous. Listen,
Yeah.
we could talk roses all day, couldn't we? Lovely to see you both. What a
And you.
great exhibit, great show.
Thank you.
Such beautiful roses, gorgeous begonias, delphiniums too. But it is not just the flowers looking marvellous here in the Great Pavilion. There's some pretty impressive looking foliage on display as well. Adam went to take a look at one of his favourites, the ferns, to inspire you to get creative in your garden.
I've come down to Curls Bay, and they have brought just a slice of County Kerry. And would you believe that they have got the best growing conditions for plants like these behind me? The Gulf Stream goes along, which means the temperature doesn't get too low, also doesn't get too hot. And they have rather a lot of rain. And I know ferns are not everybody's thing because you think, but it's a lot of green. But actually, in reality, you think about it, all right? We're quite driven by colour. So we'll go down to the garden centre and, oh, look, there's a green, there's a pink one, there's a white one, there's a yellow one. We'll put them all in the basket. We'll take them home and then we'll go, I'm not sure where I'm going to put those. But what's the most unreliable thing you got in your garden? Flower colour. It comes and it goes. The black tree fern, and obviously you can see why. Growing conditions, it needs a bit more warmth. It won't deal with such cold temperatures. When you look at that stem, it's not just the colour, it's the texture. And this is known as the crosier. And that now is going to slowly unwind itself to create that. And in all honesty, as sad as it sounds, I do not think you will see anything more beautiful at the Chelsea Flower Show. So, you want a fern for a shady spot, but you don't really want a green one. There you go. Ethereum. But it's known as Japanese painted fern, and I think you can see why. As it sort of opens, the stems are green, and then just at the end, as the leaves sort of come alive, there's a deep maroon there, and it opens up to these sort of wonderful silver tips on the end. That is beauty. Before we go, I need to show you this little beauty. Yeah, it's called Gerinomecarpum. That is my favourite fern. Why is it my favourite? Because I was going around a fern nursery many years ago, looking at all these big plants, and then I came across this, tucked away in the corner. And it's a little bit temperamental, quite hard to get going, but it's worth it.
That's a nice shady spot. Some of those tree ferns would do well in there. Now it's time to continue our look at the show gardens in the running for the BBC RHS People's Choice Award. Listen up, because you're the judges. Here are the next 4 contenders hoping to win your vote.
This is the Samaritan's Listening Garden designed by Darren Hawkes, and it's broken into 2 halves, starting here with sort of a darker, spikier palette of plants and broken concrete, really representing challenge and difficulty. And then at the ground level here, you can see this fissured concrete with turbulent, fast-moving water underneath. Then this second section really represents a journey towards tranquility and calmness, and that's embodied in a far paler set of colours, much softer planting, and it eventually delivers you under this small leafed elm. And this section is really all about sitting down, taking it in, and being able to communicate.
This is the Nurture Landscapes Garden, a contemporary reimagining of the surroundings of Benton's End, the 16th century home of the artist, plantsman Cedric Morris. All of the main landscaping features in this garden, from the planters to the water feature, are made from locally sourced, recycled material or waste products. It's all about adding environmental value to the garden. This is an artist's garden, and these irises framed not just by the grasses, but these trees all around.
This is the Savills Garden designed by Mark Gregory, and it's a walled garden set within the estate of a country house hotel. And behind me we have the glass veranda, which covers a fully working kitchen. There's herbs dotted around for easy pickings, and here we have a full dining area underneath this loggia. At the front we have this large working potager area with a huge range of edibles, all grown in raised beds. Dividing the potager is a culvert with running water. There's a sustainable element to this garden. It's completely cement-free, and many of the materials are recycled or reclaimed.
Designed to be a place of sanctuary and hope, this garden provides an accessible space for everyone affected by life-changing spinal injuries. This terrazzo-style path is cement-free with minimal joints to ensure a really smooth surface. And the timber-clad garden pod is detailed with roof tiles and alternative window heights, providing different views out into the garden. A taller tree canopy is underplanted with this lower story of shrubs and perennials, which allows for different vantage points and views. The planting has been influenced by the flora of the Sheffield woodland.
Well, those are 8 of the contenders. If you think you've spotted your favourite, don't make up your mind just yet. We'll be showing you 4 more and giving you all the details on how to vote later on in the show. Now, it is time to welcome our special guest this evening, TV presenter AJ Odudu. Welcome to Chelsea. Lovely to see you.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, what a glorious day to be here. It smells gorgeous, you look amazing, the atmosphere is great. I am delighted to be here.
Now, you are a relatively new convert to gardening, aren't you?
I really am. I got my first place in London a few years ago, and you know how it is when you first move into a place, you've got no furniture, and so houseplants were the first things that I sort of bought to fill up those empty spaces and liven the place up in a really fresh and decorative way, and ever since I've just been more and more in love with houseplants in particular.
But it also expanded into the garden itself, didn't it?
It really did. When I first moved in, the garden was unloved, let's say, and so I got in there and completely landscaped the place and created a very low maintenance space, but one that always made me feel like I was on holiday, even though I'm in the heart of London. I've got palms and I just love it outside, and I grow you know, like mint and rosemary in the garden, which go great in my cocktails.
Did you grow up with gardens? I mean, were your parents into it?
No, not at all. I grew up in a small 2-up 2-down in Blackburn, Lancashire, and we had a tiny little backyard, but my dad always filled it with these building tools, so we never played out in that tiny little yard, and we lived right across the road from these 2 derelict buildings and a car park, so we had no real green space growing up. So I guess maybe that's why I've leaned into it a lot more as I've become older, and why houseplants are so important to me as well. I feel like if you don't have outside space or a balcony or anything like that, you can always bring the outside in with houseplants.
And you do love them, don't you? You really tend to them, nurture them, even in your bath.
I really do. You know, I feel like everything and everyone deserves a spa day, including my plants. So, yeah, particularly on a Sunday, I have a massive watering session for them all and let them, you know, let the roots really soak up all of the nutrients in the bath. Give them a bath, wash the leaves, and yeah, I find it really therapeutic.
Now, you've been there in South London for a few years now, and I think you're thinking of moving. What's going to be first, the house or the garden?
I feel like the garden is a real stickler for me now. You know, I'm really lucky. I live around a lot of green space, and I've got a lot of green space of my own. And you know, I feel like the next step, I want to start growing my own veg. I want to just really like lean into the whole outdoor space. I find it, you know, it's like it's an additional room is a garden, I think, especially when you love being outside in it so much and you learn something about it each and every time. And listen, I'm an absolute novice. I still look at plants and go, what on earth is that, and why is it not thriving? I bought it, it was green, and now the leaves have all gone brown. What's going on? So I'm still very much a newbie, but you can't help but feel really proud of yourself when you see the blossoms coming out on the blossom tree, even though the parakeets are at it straight away. And yeah, you know, I've got this monstera in my bedroom, and just waking up this morning and seeing a brand new leaf, it's always surprising and it's always exciting.
Lovely to see you in this glorious sunshine, and we're going to see later on in the programme when we talk about the People's Choice.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, in the past, greenhouses were seen as places just to grow veg, but they can be about so much more. JJ Chalmers has been to investigate the joys of growing under glass, whatever size your outdoor space.
Wow, this is very different to the greenhouse that I knew growing up when I was sent out to water the tomatoes. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still practical. It's got a potting bench complete with Hydraulica stones. It's got a cold frame and it's got tomatoes. But it is the architecture. It's traditional, Victorian, but also, aside from being practical, it is comfortable. This place is a sanctuary. It is the perfect blend of bringing the outdoors indoors. If you're lucky enough to have a more spacious greenhouse, they are the perfect environment to grow some more opulent and ornamental plants that won't survive the winter out in our gardens. This Canary Island foxglove would work perfectly. You can keep it outside for summer, but if you bring it into a bright, frost-free environment for the winter, you can enjoy it year after year. The same goes for this Oxford and Cambridge plant. It will thrive in an airy but protected space, and then you can bring it back outside to enjoy the warmer months. So you can use your greenhouse to protect your precious plants and as an extension of your living space, and surround yourself with summer flowers all year round. If you don't have room to use them for comfort, they will always be functional. There is no better environment for growing tomatoes or chilies. They extend your growing period and they get you round that tricky little cold snap that invariably comes at the end of the spring, particularly up in Scotland. But they're a protected environment that allows you to grow more variety all year round. And they are fantastic for starter plants. I mean, look at that fuchsia. What a start in life it has had. It is beautiful and it's vibrant and it's lush and it's ready to go outside and be enjoyed for the whole summer. And if your space is really at a premium, you can still grow under glass thanks to these mini greenhouses. Now, practically speaking, they work the same as a large greenhouse, but this is ideal for a small garden or perhaps even a balcony. And actually, it might not be space that's an issue, but rather your time. This is so much more manageable at this scale. And they can be used as cold frames. As the name suggests, they can open up in order to expose your plants to the elements and harden them off. They can be open during the day and they can be closed off and cozy at night.
Thanks, JJ. Some great ideas there if you want to get growing yourselves. Now it's time to take a look at the final 4 gardens, hoping to win your vote for the much coveted BBC RHS People's Choice Award.
This is the Centre Point Garden by Cleve West. It's designed to address the challenges faced by young people experiencing homelessness. The concept is a Victorian house that's fallen into ruin and be reclaimed by nature. A brick path leads down to the sunken heart of the garden, where there's a herb bed nestled in amongst the ruinous walls. And the walls themselves are topped with pioneer trees, the type of species that turn up from seed, things like sycamore, elder and birch. And above them are 5 bird boxes fitted with speakers, playing familiar sounds like dogs barking and children playing.
This is the Fauna and Flora Garden, a slice of Central Africa's volcanic mountain region. Think Uganda, Rwanda, where the gorillas are. And this is all about being on an eco trip in search of them. There's no concrete or cement in this garden at all. It's all been built using these huge boulders, which rise up the mountain, right up there to the waterfall. There's even a gorilla's nest up here. And the planting, typical of Central Africa: bamboo, banana, a castor oil plant, and the orange of the Tiphonia.
This is the Transcendence Garden designed by Gavin McWilliam and Andrew Wilson, and it's designed as an uplifting space to reflect the shared experience of end of life. It's a simple design with a central path and a boundary made of the same material. There are 9 multi-stem trees filtering the light through, and the perennial planting is in a palette of whites, purples and yellows, and there are some eudomes adding a simple rhythm through the garden. At the back, there is a huge cantilevered concrete structure which draws the eye, under which there is a shallow pond of moving water.
The RBC Bruin Dolphin Garden is designed to represent the passing on of knowledge from generation to generation and then on to create a better future. The idea is that this is a young couple's first garden that's been built using the help of the knowledge from their grandparents. There are 3 seating areas. The first is this wooden structure. Then there's this more modern seating area right in the middle amongst the planting. Right at the end, again down a modern path, there's a sunken seating area. Against all of this modern hard landscaping is a very traditional planting scheme. So there's topiary, there's trees, and then there's lots of flowers planted with biodiversity in mind.
That's it. You have seen all 12 show gardens. Now it's time to open the vote. And who better to help us than AJ?
Well, thank you. I am so excited to be here, and I've gathered a gang to help kick off this vote.
Nice gang. Over to you, AJ, go for it.
Well, I'm very pleased to say that the vote for the BBC RHS People's Choice Award 2023 is officially 3, 2, 1, open!
Good gang. Well, to cast your vote, go to our website, bbc.co.uk/Chelsea, where you'll find details of all 12 show gardens and the terms and conditions and privacy notice.
The vote closes at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. That's Thursday, the 25th of May. We'll be announcing your winner on BBC One on Friday night. And remember, please do not try to vote if you're watching on demand after the vote has closed.
Well, that's it from us, but I'll be hot-footing it over to BBC Two in half an hour to join Monty with even more from Chelsea. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.